he has a chance to be a competent communicator. We will see what the evaluator will say. Anyway, before I call him, I would like to call his evaluator to tell us the objectives of the speech. And his evaluator is the person whose name we shouldn't say. He's the most popular guy in Toastmasters, and I don't have to introduce him that much. All I can say is that without him, we wouldn't have been here. He's the mentor of the Active Minds Toastmasters Club, and is one of the founding fathers of Toastmasters in Kuwait. And that's so much to say. So please welcome Toastmaster Don Prades.
Yes.
This is the graduation speech of Milton Davis. Now he's got 3 objectives. Number 1, to inspire the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement. Number 2, to appeal to the audience's needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, quotes to add to the drama. And the last one is avoid using notes. Time, 8 to 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Don Prades. By the way, for the information of the guests and everyone, Toastmaster Don Prades is already an advanced communicator gold. And that means he has completed 30 speech projects. And now I would like to call our final speaker. He's actually a member of another club, Desert Pioneers, but he has always been our guest, and we love him to be here with us all the time. He has supported Toastmasters Active Minds in many ways. He has been a functionary, and he has helped in the different competitions, and he's like a brother to all of us, and hopefully one day he will be a dual member of Desert. Yes, buddy? My goodness. Let's give him a big round. I was just in Hong he became a member. Yeah? Okay. Anyway, the title of the speech is Red Ball, not Red Bull. Please welcome a very dear friend of Active Minds and an Active Minds member already, Toastmaster Milt.
July 2004. I had just buried my 5th elderly person. How many has it been? I can't remember. I was a funeral director for a funeral home, Laurel Land Funeral Home and Cemetery. It was a good job. I helped people, families, bring closure to the death of a loved one, mostly died from old age. I went home, went through the mail, there's bills, advertisements, and there was an official letter from the government. I opened it up. Attention to orders. You are hereby ordered to active duty. Report to your unit for deployment to Iraq. Iraq. Darn. I just got finished with a year of active duty, doing Homeland Security. And now I was being called up again to go to the hottest place on the planet, to a war. I was a reserve soldier, an engineer, a photographer, the unit safety officer, and graves registrar. In the event of a death, it was my job to take care of the final effects, to repatriate the body back home to their family. My year in Baghdad, our unit didn't lose a single soldier. We were lucky. We worked at safety very, very hard. Now, I was shot at 4 times. and I attended 11 services, memorial services, to other fallen soldiers from other units. April 2005. I was walking around Camp Victory in Baghdad. And all of a sudden there was a missile attack. One missile landed over in front of the KBR compound, blew up. Very loud explosion shook the earth. Another one came right in at me and landed in front of me but didn't blow up. Moments later, another one went over my head and blew up behind me. But that one that landed in front of me didn't blow up. It was a dud. Why? I asked myself, why? Why me? Why here? Shaken, I walked back to my camp, thinking about what had just taken place. That bomb, that rocket, it didn't blow up. Why? Why am I still alive? And I realized then that there was a higher power at work to make sure that I stayed alive. I still ask myself why. I was on a very good camp, a very nice camp. Had lakes and trees and very fascinating buildings. And there was also some very fascinating people. These people were there because of the importance of what we're doing. One person stood out that always amazed me. Her name was Jennifer, codename Skullgirl. She stood out because she was always happy. She was always smiling. One day we were talking and she invited me over to see what she did. As it turns out, she was part of the Grace recovery team that was sent to Iraq to recover dead bodies and to gather facts for war crimes. I went there, went into a room much the same size as this room, and around the wall, stacked up, were body bags. There must have been 50 of them. She was one of the most talented people I've ever seen. She could put a face back on a skull so that they could take a picture and try to identify the remains and put a death certificate to that person. I took a seat and I watched her work. Along the floor, there was a big tarp with lots of lights. She dragged a body bag over and she unzipped it. She started to pull out the contents. I was expecting an intact body. But in this case, she was bringing out bones and clothing and other artifacts that were dragged out of the field of battle. One by one, she took the bones and placed them very neatly in a very distinct order on the tarp. And then she took the body bag and she shook it, and out dropped something yellow. I said, "What's that?" She said, "Oh, that's a toy whistle." I said, "A toy whistle?" She said, "Yes, that's something that we see very common in these people." I said, "Wow, these people. Who are these people?" And she said that most of these people were children between 5 and 8 years old. And I couldn't believe it. I was expecting something else. And she told me this fantastic story. And pretty soon a gentleman came in. His name, codename Digital Dave. He was the team's photographer. And he took pictures of many different things, many different sites. And one of the most fascinating sight that he said he took was a mummified hand clenching a red ball. By this time, I didn't know what to think. I was expecting intact bodies of soldiers. I didn't expect to see bones of children who had barely started their life. I thought about this. I thought about what was going on. And conversation filled the room like smoke about the Iraqi soldiers that went into the village that day. And they hastily dug trenches. In groups of 100, they marched them in. And in an instant, they shot him with AK-47s. Then when they marched in the children, one boy fell down when the shooting started, and his best friend fell on top of him. He wasn't hit, but he stayed there quiet and silent. When it was all over with, the soldiers filled over the gravesite and left. This young boy clawed his way out of the grave and ran in safety. He went and found a family of Bedouins that took care of him until the coalition forces came. And then he told them his story, that day that happened some time ago, of the mass graves. I didn't know what to expect. This moment had changed my life. It had changed everything I knew up until then. My unit went back to Texas, and I soon went back to Baghdad. In early 2006, I took up my job again as safety in Baghdad. I felt that there was more work that needed to be done, that there was a tremendous amount of effort, so that something like this would never have happened again, and never shall happen again. There I was in Baghdad, working. And I had thoughts that life, as something is so sincere to myself, that life is to be lived to its fullest. To take every moment of every day and take it and live a good life. Do good things. And hopefully one day you die knowing that you've lived a full life and have made a difference to the world. And so my altruistic ideas would come out and say, please, fellow citizens, join me in making this a better life, a better world. Every day, do something to make a difference. Do something to make the world a better place. And keep from having children die at a very early age. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Milt Dana. I was so touched by the speech. And thanks God, Milt, you live to tell the tale. So I'll give you 1 minute to write your comments for Milt.